Hello everyone, my name is Daniel and I'm a programmer and an artist. And today I just have a quick tip about how to fix these sort of tearing artifacts that you get in a baked normal map if it bakes from a back face of some other part of the mesh because it was intersecting. This happens a lot on folds of cloth like this, or clothing and characters and stuff. One way to avoid them is if you're using the multi-res modifier, you can bake from multi-res directly to the UVs rather than doing a selected to active. But if you are using selected to active and you have any sort of folds, where you have a sort of fold in some cloth or something, and then you have your low poly mesh going through those detailed folds, well then if you just bake with no extrusion offset, then this part of that fold gets missed because the bake starts from this point and looks in this direction. So then you can play with the extrusion value to push that whole face back somewhere, and that might work. But if you push it too far, then it might end up hitting this back face over here rather than this face that it should be sort of baking from. So that's why you can end up with these sharp edges, or for some reason I think of them as tears in the normal map, where it rendered from the back face of some other part of the mesh. So then you can see here, if we look at the shading, the effect that has, it just makes the shading completely incorrect because it baked from an entirely different part of the mesh. So when you have these complicated folds, you can play with that extrusion value forever and never find a perfect value that works everywhere. Often if you play with that value, it might fix the problem in one area but create a new problem somewhere else. And baking takes a while, so it's a slow process to find that magic number that probably doesn't exist. So I recommend keeping that extrusion value pretty low and then just fixing this artifact after the fact. So the way to fix that artifact is to open the normal map in an image editor. The first step in removing the artifacts is to create a mask that can remove the artifacts from the image. So to do that, we're going to separate the image into its channels. And we want to take the blue channel, which you can see the black parts of the blue channel match up pretty well to the artifacts that we have. So we're going to convert this. I'm going to make a copy of the normal map. And then I'm going to convert this blue channel to a mask. So just looking at this, we can already see that it's pretty close to right, and then we can just do a levels adjustment to sharpen the edges. Once we've done that, we want to apply that mask to the image. So I just do that by merging it with a new layer. Then I'd like to soften the edges a little bit, so we'll select the alpha channel and do a feather on the selection of like 2 pixels. And then we can just hit delete once to sort of soften the edges a tiny bit. Then if we make a copy of that layer, we can select the layer underneath and blur it by like 3 pixels, something small. Then we can just do a curves correction on it. We want to affect the alpha channel, and we can just crank the white almost all the way up. And you can see that's already pushed in the edges a little bit, and then we can just do that again. We can make another copy, select the layer underneath, do a Gaussian blur, curves, crank the alpha channel up, and now the whole image is opaque again, and we've gone from these artifacts to some colors that aren't accurate but shouldn't create visual shading artifacts on the mesh. So we can just export this as the normal map. And then back in Blender, so then if we just zoom in on this artifact, we can open up that normal map again, and you can see that the black artifacts are gone. So that's just a quick tip about problem that you can have with normal maps and one way to fix it. That's all I've got for this one. Thanks for watching.